Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor was December 7, 1941. That was the start of the Second World War for the United States. But they already had it in Europe. I think it started in 1939. Then everybody had to make blackout shades over the windows. So at night no light would shine out because we were close to the coast. And between where we lived and the coast was Douglas Aircraft. And they put a camouflage net over the whole factory and the roads that led to it. So it couldn't be seen from the air. And one time the Japanese submarine shelled Long Beach, 1 or 2 shells. That's the closest we got to.
Were people living in fear, like when they had to do this, or did it become the norm, or people were pretty scared that it was going to happen?
That's why they took all these precautions, you know. Then if the air raid sirens go on, well, then you had to shut your lights off in case the light would sneak past the shade. But all the shades were black, dark.
Did any of your siblings, any of your brothers serve?
Not in the Second World War, no.
Did any of Auntie Dorothy's?
No.
Not in Second World War.
She had uncles that did. She lost 1 or 2 in the war. One was in that Bataan or Death March. But then we went on ration, you know. Gas, you had to have a A or B card that allowed you a certain amount of gallons of gas. Then you'd be notified that the market in town was going to have Karo syrup, 1 to a person.
And then everybody would just line up?
Yep. Even if you didn't need it, you bought it. So
because you didn't know if you
somebody else could use it. Well, we had 6 of us, see. Same way with butters. They'd say, well, certain day we're going to have butter. So then you'd all go there and stand in line for a pound of butter. Same way with sugar. Then sugar got so scarce, you used Hard Rock Christmas candy to put in your coffee to sweeten it.
What was the media like when the war was going on? Did you know how bad it was? I mean, how did you guys find information out of what was happening from the radio?
Everything was radio. We didn't get TV till my brother was out of high school. And that was in 1950.
Okay.
Dick. He bought a TV console, had phonograph, radio, and TV, and I think it was 9 inches square. Not colored, green. Showed green. Green or black and white.
So then when that war ended, which one came next?
Korea.
And that's where Uncle Vernon was killed, right?
Yeah.
That was the war that he was killed in.
My brother Ed was in that one. And I was, at that time you had a draft. They don't have it now. Armed services is all voluntary now. And then you had 1A was the ones that were drafted first. So I was 3A, and then they found out I had 2 kids, then they went to 2A, but they never moved me up to 1A. So
Okay.
they didn't want to support kids. So. My brother Dick wasn't in service. My younger brother Melvin was in Vietnam. And he was hit with that Agent Orange, whatever. His skin was like leather and real wrinkly. And he was only 20-some years old, you know. And later on he died from lung cancer and brain cancer, all from that Agent Orange. So.
How old was he when he died? Do you know? Do you remember?
Oh, he might have been 35 or something.
Oh, young.
My brother Ed died at 49.
Wow.
Dick was 81. Yeah, 81.
35. That's young. So, Uncle Ken and Uncle Ron, were they both in Vietnam?
Yeah.
Was that common to let brothers go to the same war?
They went to different areas.
Okay.
I think Ron was in Germany, and I don't know if Ken went to Vietnam. John Vanderwall was in Vietnam.
And when those guys came back from Vietnam, it wasn't good.
No. Well, they didn't win that. They just pulled out. Just like Iraq now. They just, if you're going to go to war, you better go to win, or stay home.
Mm-hmm.
But we're lucky we never had war on our soil.
Right. I told Ty when he was practicing these questions, he was practicing reading them, I was answering them, and the world event that I could think of was when the Twin Towers went down.
Yeah.
And that's the closest I think we've had to war on our soil, was those acts of terrorism.
See, in 1933, the year I was born, a couple months before that, well, let me go back a little bit. When you milked cows in them days, you lived on the place. If you had 5 milkers, you had 5 houses. But if you quit, you had to move. So my dad was milking at this place, and in 1933, I'll just say in May or June, there was a bad earthquake. And I wasn't born yet. And the back porch moved this far away from the house.
Wow.
And the stove moved into the middle of the room. Well, everything was gas, natural gas, so they didn't dare live in the house, so they lived in the pasture for 3 days. Everybody.
In tents or something, or just out?
Just scared to go in the house.
But what did they stay in? Just sleep out right under the stars?
Yeah, California.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
But, and, there's a lot of aftershocks. You probably didn't feel earthquakes. Well, they have them here once in a while.
We had one. I remember one, but it wasn't major. I mean, I saw the telephone poles moving and things, but no major
One time
damage.
I was sitting in the front room at your folks' place, and Richie was there, and I, and your dad, and Ken or somebody, And it shook bad, and Dorothy and your mom were gone, I guess. And, yeah, I went through a lot of them in California. Richie said, "Whatever you do, Gil, I'm going to do." Because he had never felt one either,
Oh, that's funny. Oh.
But then I come home, and then we had a plant on a wrought iron stand, and the plant fell over into that china closet just around the corner there. And them shells were all glass, and they were all full of
Precious moments.
75 of them.
Oh, wow.
They're still in a box in the back room. Dorothy was always going to glue them back together.
Glue them back together.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I remember all those precious moments. So, moving up here with 8 kids, did all 8 come up with you? I don't remember how old your kids were when they came up.
Gloria was married and Ted was married.
Okay, so they didn't come with you.
Gloria did. Gloria and John moved the same time we did.
Okay.
And Uncle Dick had a set of doubles. We each had a trailer full of household stuff.
You just hauled it all up here. You lived with us for a little bit, just like a week or two, didn't you? Or was it longer than that?
6 weeks, I think.
6 weeks. Our house wasn't big enough for that.
It was wall to wall.
I don't
the
remember
floors
it.
were covered.
I don't remember it. Was I born? Do you remember?
Richie was just born.
So I was just little then.
Yeah.
Huh. So 6 weeks.
Richie was born in what?
Richie was born in 77.
What month?
April.
See, we were there in February
Okay. So Richie was born maybe then,
after we were there.
or was he already a year?
Only might have been.
Maybe he was
What
already.
year? 77?
77. April of 77.
We
Rich.
moved here February of 77.
Okay, so my mom was pregnant with Rich then when that all happened.
Yeah, they didn't know she was going to make it.
I remember hearing that story.
Yeah.
Scary stuff too.
But then, let's see, Gloria and Ted, Deb drove up with her car, and Gary had his car.
Ty, you can just stick your finger and see if it's hot.
And then we had 3 or 4 cars, and then the truck. I rode with Dick in the truck.
Mom, it's boiling.
Okay.
We got here February 19, I think it was. There was an old house where the peacock cage is.
Oh yeah? Is that what you lived in?
No, Dorothy wouldn't move in there. I think it was built in 1908. So we unloaded all our stuff in there because Dick had to go back.
Okay.
Dick loaded a load of firewood back and sold it in California when he got back there.
Oh.
So then the guy I bought out, he was waiting for his trailer to be set up there in that trailer park behind Fugit, and he didn't. I think the first part of June we were still living by your folks.
So that would have been, yeah, a few months. Ty, will
Yeah.
you put the bread in that foil? Just stick it in the oven right
And,
beside it.
I think the 2nd or 3rd of June we had a good snowstorm. Well, you know, a lot of things evolve. You know, I got tired of being on the road, and your dad found this place because first Hank and Grace looked at it and they said, "No, it ain't big enough for them," because they still were in Auburn.
Yeah. So when you moved up here to Washington, is that when you started farming? You were done driving truck when you moved to Washington. But you didn't farm in California. No, that
I was on the truck. I brought a load of egg whites, 6,000 gallons of egg whites, mind you, to a plant in Abbotsford, Canada. Well, your dad had called me and said, "This place is for sale and he wants to sell everything." I said, "Well, I'm on my way up," and I said, "We'll stop and look at it." So I unloaded in Abbotsford, come back and stopped at your folks. Well, they weren't home, so I just parked on the hill there with that tanker, and they come home from someplace, and I was sleeping in the truck.
Huh.
So I come here and looked at it with your dad, and he wanted everything. Equipment, cows, everything. Buy it all. And he'd carry the contract, see? So I made a decision right there.
Yeah.
That's what I looked for all my life. I didn't want to rent a place.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Well, I have to go home and sell my house." He says, "When you get your house sold, just come back and we'll make a deal." So shook hands and that was it.
Wow.
3 days later, my house was sold.
Oh my goodness. Your
So
wife was fine with moving 2 states north?
Yeah, she really didn't say. Her sister was here, and I think Marilyn was here too already.
Mm.
That was all right.
Yeah.
At least I was off the road, you know. I was putting in 100 hours a week on the road. So then, at least we're home, you know. So.